Are you a woman standing at a crossroads, eager for change? It's time to connect with your authentic and empowered self at Boss Leap. Join Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker in this empowering community where real-life stories of courageous and talented women inspire and motivate. Engage in honest conversations that foster well-being, drawing from our own journeys. Let us guide you toward profound growth and transformation in both your personal and professional life. Here are your hosts, Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker.
Welcome back to Boss Leap Podcast, where we get honest about what it really takes to build, lead, and grow. I'm Dr. Sylvia Morris.
And I'm Dr. Angela Walker.
And today's episode is one we have been excited to record since the moment we got back.
So we just attended the Georgetown University Women's Forum 2026, and we have thoughts. We're talking about what we learned, how we prepared, what went sideways, and maybe most importantly, why the connections you make in rooms like that can change the entire trajectory of your business if you let them. So let's get into it. Sylvia?
I am so excited to be here with you today. The GU Women's Forum was absolutely fantastic. We're going to say hello to our fellow Hoyas out there, Hoya Saxa.
Hoya Saxa, yes.
And so, Angela, let's start talking first about connection and the importance of connection. So we know that in a world where networking feels transactional, what does genuine connection look like, and how do you know when you found it? And I think to give a little backstory around this, the last day we were at a conversation with wonderful business leaders. And one woman in particular talked about, in a world where networking often feels like a transaction, what does genuine connection look like and feel like? And how do you know when you found it?
I think when you just have that feeling of either aha or a warm space in your heart or a feeling of awe. But I think you have to enter the rooms with curiosity and not the notion of how is this going to benefit me? Mm-hmm. And I really felt in this year's forum, that's what it was all about. It was more of that curiosity in what other people are doing, what changes other people have made in their lives, how they're finding joy. I think the beginning of the conference was amazing. We had a young person who, despite her youth, was talking to, the most senior people in the audience and telling them, you can do this. You can make changes and you can be authentic. And so answering about the connections, I think it's just being, that authentic in how you present yourself. And I like, again, presenting in a room like that with just curiosity and what can I learn from somebody else? What is it that makes them tick? And, perhaps, what got them to where they are today.
Yeah. And you're so right about that. I love the words curiosity and joy. Mm-hmm. Yes. I have found that networking has become much easier when I don't have an agenda.
Yes.
I will admit that in my prior years, I probably was looking for a new job. Yeah. So I was like, who in here can I meet so that I can make the connection to get the new gig? Yeah. But as I have just let's just relax a little bit. Yes. And let us just be present. When I am in the room, there are organic conversations that happen that otherwise would not have. And you meet people that are amazing. I went to get coffee and this woman had this great sweater on. I was like, oh, I like your sweater. So, yes. We started talking. So you're exactly right. Curiosity helps to lead things.
Sylvia, can you share a moment when maybe a relationship in general surprised you by going, beyond the business card exchange?
Yes. It's always interesting to me when I connect with people who on the surface seemingly are not like me. And I am reminded that the core of human beings, it's about love. It's about, family, whatever family means to you.
Yes.
It's about joy, as you mentioned, or how do you have a good time? One of my favorite questions to ask people, just to say, oh, hey, what's your favorite place to travel to? Or where are you traveling to next? And you see the smiles come to their faces, because then they can tell you about them.
Yeah.
So I think when I have been most surprised when I encounter people who I'm like, wow, what you just said resonated with me on a really deep level. What about you?
I think the same. I think just being in those spaces of, and like you said, we try to go without an agenda, but part of my agenda is to learn about what other people are doing. Because as we have learned in our lifespan, we can have many different iterations of ourselves and chapters, even careers, right? But sometimes you don't know what that looks like, who's modeling it for you. And this was a perfect environment for just watching how other people have grown in their lives, in their careers, in their families, how they have found joy, how they've learned from mistakes. And so I think, again, just going back to, if you're curious enough and open enough to listen to the stories, you can always usually gain from something. And I think that's exactly why we keep going back to the Georgetown Women's Forum, because it's just a room full of women it's obviously not there to collect contacts. We definitely collected
we collected some contacts. Let's be clear. Yes.
Absolutely. But they, by and large, were there to connect, and which makes me think. We talked about the real difference between a network and a community, and which one actually moves the needle for women in business.
Community, baby. Every day, twice on Sunday. And I want to just shout out the organizers of the Georgetown University Women's Forum. The format I thought was fantastic. And I am reminded of, I think it was the end of Friday, where they had 4 or 5 women talk about their pivots. Yes. And here on Boss Leap, we talk about pivoting all of the time. And I know there was a winemaker from Walla Walla, Washington.
Ita
Wineries, please. There was a woman that made, I'm going to call them hats or head coverings. There was a woman who pivoted from like Wall Street to working at Rikers Island as a psychologist.
That was phenomenal.
Yes. So all these amazing stories. But to your point, Angela, when we talk about sometimes if we don't see it, we don't know how to dream bigger.
Right.
And hearing all the stories and seeing all these fantastic women in the room, and even the conversations at our tables and, getting lunch, those things help to inspire me more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
So let's go back. We haven't shared, how is it that we came to the Georgetown University Women's Forum? Because this is 26 and we went in 24. So how did we end up there? Do you remember?
I didn't expect this question. No, I don't. We just knew. I mean, Georgetown's programming usually is, right on. And it was a conference for women, didn't really know what to expect, right? I think the conference was born before the pandemic by the law school, the women in law. And then gratefully it expanded to all the colleges. And I don't remember how we found out. It's one of those kind of organic things. You stumble across it, and then once you're in, you're like, I'm not missing this again. Yeah.
But I know that our classmate and co-author Diane Boykin.
It may have been Di.
She was, yeah, I think it was either Diane or Jessica Osborne, again, co-author, friend of show, who were like, hey, we're going to this conference.
Yes.
And, I was like, I want to come.
Yes.
And there we are. And we cannot not go to this every year. But then please share, how did we come to be on the stage? Because 2 years ago, we were in the audience.
Yeah, I think because the programming is so dynamic and there were so many conversations that happened that first forum that we went to, I thought, well, we could
why not
potentially contribute, right? Mm-hmm. And spoke with one of the organizers and talked about our experiences as women in medicine and how we could contribute. Obviously, there's so many topics, but top of mind for what they needed was perimenopause, menopause, and we went in talking about the power years and, kind of reframing this whole notion of this is a period of decline in our lives and giving explanations, reassurances, and maybe even some tactical plans in how to proceed in, and I'll tack on, we followed the author of Joyspan, who talks about, we in
Kelly
medicine,
Burnright.
Thank you. Yes. So she talks about our notion of lifespan and how prevalent that is right now in our conversation and living
Carrie Burnright. Let me get her name right. Carrie, Kerry, Burnight. So Burnright. That's just all wrong, right? That's all right. We're human here on Boss Lead.
We're good.
Thank you, Dr. Burnright. We were talking about Joyspan and how our conversation, the power years, followed Dr. Carrie Burnright's conversation on Joyspan. And this is a great segue. Can we talk about a little bit, I know in lifestyle medicine, there's a lot of conversation around lifespan, and how would you distinguish that in your own definition from Joyspan? So
if you listen to Dr. Burnright's definition, she talks about lifespan and how prevalent that is in our, lexicon and our conversation, and even in media and, all the people that are maybe profiting off living a long lifespan. But then we in medicine have, also defined health span. So health span is how long you live a healthy life within that lifespan. And then she goes further to promote the idea of joy span. So not only living a healthy life, but one full of joy, and how she looked at the people that are living long lives full of joy, full of meaning, with, health in mind, but also some of the things that come along with, getting older, but still finding joy, despite some, maybe perhaps medical issues. So the joy span, I love that notion. And I think that it is really evident in lifestyle medicine in the sense that, yes, there are many things you can do in lifestyle medicine, including nutrition and movement, mindfulness, connections, as we're doing, that certainly have shown to improve your overall lifespan, but definitely also show that those lives can be healthier, and definitely in many ways joyful. So I think lifestyle medicine gives you a little bit all of that if you're able to make sometimes just small changes in how you're moving through life. I don't know if that answers your question, Sylvia.
It does, absolutely. And health style, where can people find you to kind of flesh this out a little bit more?
Yeah, so definition. So health style is kind of my program and my take on all of this. And it's funny because I was so intent on the joy span conversation, because I feel like I've been kind of walking that path in the same way, in that I want to bring joy to people's lives by perhaps showing how you can create your own. So because what you do, Sylvia, doesn't necessarily work for me, and what works for me doesn't work for all of my patients. but we can all find our path in trying to find joy and living healthy. And so for me, it's drangela.walker.com is my website. And you can find me on Instagram at I am Dr. Walker, and connect with me through that.
Awesome. Wonderful. Check her out, everybody. She's fantastic. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, but yes, check her out.
I appreciate you, girl.
Always, always. But just to kind of talk about the format of the Georgetown University Women's Forum, and I know that Hopkins has a women's forum. I would imagine that most universities have a women's forum, but we arrived on a Thursday night. There was a reception, like an opening reception.
Yes.
And the opening fireside chat was Ashley Hollis, who was, you may know her from Big Brother. She's also a Georgetown law graduate. So we're going to say hello to Ashley, and we hope to have her on at some point. And then all day on Friday, there were different conversations. We had a keynote speaker for lunch. Our Politico. Conversation. Yes. Thank you. They had the Politico.
Fabulous. Yes.
Absolutely. And she, for me, confirmed that, yes, the world is on fire, but there's opportunity for us to keep being engaged and reading and leaning in, although that phrase might be overused, but do what you can, where you can, for whom you can.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then our conversation with called the Power Years on Perimenopause and Menopause. I had the great honor of moderating both Dr. Walker and Dr. Shiva Gofrani. Please look for her on Instagram. And she was just
phenomenal. Just
absolutely
fire. So
a powerful conversation.
She is that person is what you see is what you get. And from the first conversation we had up to, during the preparations for this, and I tell you, I've never seen somebody that lives life so full and does it well. So So.
And her mom was there.
Yes,
hello to her mom,
sweet.
Which was great.
She called her the OG Dr. Gofrani because her mom's a pediatrician. Yes, I thought that was so sweet. Yeah.
That was great. Our room was full. We had great questions. And I want to thank everyone who showed up for us, and a special thanks to Diane Boykin, Dr. Diane Boykin, who is always our partner in crime, was there in the front row. And then Paul, who's your mentee?
Gomez.
All right, Paul.
My mentee,
hey,
Paul Gomez, who is a budding physician himself, who will, I know, kind of just take his world, or this world, by storm. Such a caring, honest, gentle soul. But yes, he came in as our photographer, mostly because he was so interested in what we have to say, and he's a follower of the show. But yes, and might I say, a very good photographer. I told him, in our book, The Game Plan, we always talk about, plans A, B, C, and D, and things that you can do at the same time as practicing medicine. So I'm just going to say, if you need some photos,
I agree. Paul is a bright light, and I cannot wait to see how his whole career and life evolves. He's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then so we did that. We had, and the afternoon was still just full. We had the conversation about, your finances and health. I thought that was really interesting. So I'll leave it to you, Sylvia, to pop in names because I'm so bad, but CPA or financial planner and ER medicine physician, both working for Morgan Stanley, and the paths that both, of these things take, the preparation, the planning, and the, kind of the action that you take with your finances and your health, kind of walking those same paths. I thought that was a really cool combination. And then, as you said, after that, we had the women that talked about their paths and their pivots, and it was just really phenomenal.
I'm going to share my favorite question from the finance conversation between the ER doc and the
I already know
CPA.
what you're going to.
You know what my favorite question is?
I know what you're. Yeah, it was so great.
This woman, a fellow Hoya, she stood up and she was like, "Hey, can we have more kind of clarity or recommendations for women who are unpartnered and or don't have children?" Because a lot of the conversation was focused on
family.
Well, when you get married,
kids.
and well, then when you have children, and your money will go to your children, and you got this big inheritance from your grandparents. So the woman I was sitting next to at my table, she was like, "Can I sign up for the inheritance from the grandparents?"
Right.
But I say this a little bit with humor, but I think it's important for us to recognize that women, we all have different paths.
Yeah.
And not everyone wants to be partnered or has a partner. Not everyone can have children or wants to have children. Or, their reasons for not having children is because maybe they aren't partnered or whatever it is. And I think that there is space in the conversation for including every woman, because sometimes I know I'm not partnered at the moment. I don't have children. That ship has sailed. I'm a fantastic auntie.
Yes,
but,
you are.
Those, the conversations around kind of legacy and planning for the future, I sometimes feel left out of those conversations. So I just wanted to shout out that Hoya who stood up and was like, "Hey, what about us? We're not including everyone."
Yes. So I do remember that question, and I do remember thinking of you. And I have to add, I think this is like forums like this and having friends of different experiences round you well, because I'm aware of this because you're my friend. But if you only include those people that look like you, do everything that you do, we're only, moms, and we only talk about our life, then you're not really able to, I think, see the whole world as it really flows. And I think that's the value of having, friends that are doing everything, that have done everything. But yeah, I'm grateful for you because it always brings that to the forefront. But actually what I thought you were going to say, and now that I'm thinking about it, it was in the last session on Saturday. Yeah, on Saturday, where we had all the women in business, all the MBAs that are, doing all these fantastic things.
Phenomenal things.
And the one that said that she had a mentor early on in life that told her to get your effing money right. When she was in her 20s.
Yeah.
And it's such, we can certainly, in what we've done in our careers, because everything is delayed in medicine. So we're so far behind our counterparts. If somebody had told us to do some things early on in our 20s, how that, calculates into the future. But no, that's what I actually thought you were going to.
I love that because really it's the concept of if you have resources, money, whatever, then you can make different choices. But if you are handcuffed to whatever it is that you're doing, because those are the only resources that you have, then it limits your choice. It limits your view of the world. And I'm not even talking about if you're, partnered or not partnered. I'm talking about having your own money, your own set of resources, so that you can be like, I'm out, or I'm going to make a different choice as far as employment, or I'm going to start my own. Those things. Yeah. Because we know that none of this happens by accident.
Happens.
So the intentionality was, I would say, the theme of the MBA's kind of conversation.
That was very, very powerful. So intentional, you just mentioned intentionality and intentional preparation. To kind of walk us through how you prepared for the forum, your mindset going into it, I know part of the mindset, but what did you do to make sure you showed up ready to give and also ready to receive?
That's a great question. I like to do a lot of just kind of sitting with thinking about what I'm going to say and what I want to leave people with.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time kind of on the opening and making
It was
sure
phenomenal.
that
I didn't even know
thank
that was
you.
coming. Yeah, it was really, really good. It set the tone for, given your personal experiences, and a little kind of life, a little glimpse into kind of, your life. No, I thought that was wonderful.
Thank you. Well, so that's part of it for me,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of thinking about being in the room. People talk a lot about, well, visualize yourself doing it. So I do that. I like to prepare. So about a month out, I think all the questions were done. You and Dr.
Yes.
Shiva told me what you were interested in talking about. I was able to get the questions prepared. I'm a big fan of putting everything in large font, yes, on these
Your
3 by
big note
5 or
cards.
really 4 by
Yes.
6 cards so that
Yes.
I have them, I number them, I kind of go through that. And then also I worked with a PR media specialist,
Yeah.
and he just kind of helped
Got you
remind
ready.
me of, you moderate all the time,
Mm.
be on time, get out of
Yeah.
the way of the panelists. My
Yeah.
job is to move things along,
Are
and
we
to
going to shout
keep
out
the
who
audience
that was?
engaged. Yes, we're going to say
Okay.
morphology, media relations, Doug Pennington.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you for that reminder.
Well, that was
Uh,
a phenomenal prep then, because it was really fire, and it was helpful in kind of guiding the conversation. So yeah, I appreciate
Definitely.
that.
So how did you plan
Well, I guess
or
because
prepare?
you kind of prompted the question setting and going through. It's interesting because as a physician and a women's health physician, OBGYN, talking about perimenopause and menopause is what I do every
Every
day,
day.
all day,
Yeah.
almost, especially, now because I'm doing more just gynecology and not as much, and not doing OB. So it is a part of my conversation. And I love educating patients about, what maybe they don't know or what they have heard, and kind of resetting, what's actually correct. And then just empowering women to make their own decisions. So that part I knew, but it's, being in front of an audience, which obviously we both, speak, but making sure that I was giving maybe some action steps, because you always want to step away, ideally, from a talk and say, oh, I'm going to do this, or I could do this, and having, kind of an action plan. So trying to establish that. I did, so in other ways that I did things, I think, a little bit differently. I packed far in advance. I told you I went shopping
Very
in my
good.
closet
Yes.
because I really,
Yes.
I love a good suit. And I was like,
Yes.
I don't want to wear the same, suit over. And then,
Suit
so I
was
went shopping
beautiful.
in my closet and found one that actually had not had tailored. So the pants were just way too long. So did that and put all my stuff together like 2 weeks beforehand. That took so much stress, just the packing and like all of that stuff. And this sounds so superficial, but it really is part of the stress of an event. And so did that.
I, of course, packed like the night before, but I do curate my outfits in
Yeah.
advance.
Yes,
But the packing part, last moment.
Yeah. So, well, okay, yeah. So it was the curating part, but I already knew what was going to fit, so I didn't have to worry about all of that. But yeah, and then just really kind of doing the mindful stuff, meditation and preparation, trying not to stress. But I have to say, I had help from a really good friend, a blonde friend with a bob that happens to be sitting
It wasn't blonde then.
right in front of me. No, it was that day. So the prep, not with note cards, but with, my phone, have notes and all of those things that I was trying to prep for. And you astutely saw me continuing to scroll and prep moments before our talk. And as I'm looking and finding myself kind of just getting wound up for no reason, I see a text.
I know
What's
you.
that?
I
know
can
me.
feel it.
The text comes across the screen. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. So I saw that, put my phone down, did my breath work, and I was good. So yeah, some of my preparation is just having people around me, my kids, checking in. They're like, "You're going to do great, Mom." You know, because they knew that this was a big deal for me. I mean, going back to your stomping grounds and talking to people that you really want to pour into. And so, yeah, and I have, my husband as well. So taking everything in was a good part of my preparation, and just at the end of the day, telling myself that I'm ready.
I like that. And I think we're going to leave the conversation right there. So we're going to thank you for listening to this episode of Boss Leap. If there's anything we talked about today that resonated with you, whether it's the way you think about connection, how you prepare for big opportunities, or just knowing that things going a little bit askew, that you can still show up, we want to hear from you.
So please leave us a review, share this episode with a woman in your life who needs to hear it, and follow us so you don't miss what's coming next. And we'll see you on the next Boss Leap. Until we meet again, may you be well.
May you be well.
That's a wrap on another episode of Boss Leap. May this conversation enlighten your path toward personal growth and professional empowerment. For more thought-provoking and eye-opening discussions like this one, head to our website at bossleappodcast.com. Always remember to celebrate your wins and trust yourself. A positive mindset can push you out of your comfort zone and into far greater heights. Until next time, may you be well.
Before we go, there's one more thing the lawyers have asked us to include. It's the legal language, and you know how doctors love lawyers. This podcast is presented only for educational and entertainment purposes. Although we are doctors, on this show, we are just your friends. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of your physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals. Understood? Awesome. We'll see you in the next episode.